Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today our special guest is Tamara Patzer. She is an award-winning journalist and internet marketing expert specializing in local political marketing campaigns using political digital marketing strategies that can help candidates elected using what she calls the pillars of Authority Omnipresence. Tami is a popular host at EyeHeart Radio's Business Innovators Radio and also produces a variety of online radio programs for professionals, thought leaders, and innovators. She is also the creator of Vote Radio Show, a non-partisan program designed to help voters learn more about local candidates so they can make wise voting decisions. Welcome to the show, Tami.
Well, thank you, Neil. I really appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you today.
Well, I'm excited about what you're going to share with us. So tell me more about the importance of using digital strategies for local political marketing.
Well, it's really important for candidates to understand that in the last 8 years, campaigning has radically changed. If you recall in 2008, when President Obama ran for president, he actually used social media and it became known as, whoa, this is a game changer. And again, in 2012, social media emerged as the dominant channel to engage voters and to get the vote out. Now, in 2016, new technologies such as programmatic advertising, lead ads, and retargeting, they're completely changing the political marketing strategies for local candidates. And it's really important to think about this. Local candidates can level the playing field and actually use the same strategy as the big players, such as the presidential candidates, what they're using. So this is really interesting because old school or traditional media, such as yard signs, newspapers, palm cards, and expensive direct mail are still valuable, but when you add that secret sauce of digital marketing to the mix, you actually can get a stronger voter turnout and the voters are going to be more informed. So you're going to have a better election overall.
So it certainly worked for President Obama back in 2008, and I know a lot of political candidates have tried to follow that lead, especially with Donald Trump right now. You know, he was always in the news. And I guess it's about just getting your name out there. Is that right?
Yes. And Donald Trump is a really good example because what Donald Trump did, think about what Donald Trump did. He came into the homes of the American public for, I believe it was about 11 years with The Apprentice, and he positioned himself as a leader. And if you recall, if you can visualize the show, most people have seen The Apprentice. Donald Trump is in the center. He has a right-hand person and a left-hand person, his advisors. And then, of course, The Apprentice people are in front of him, and he listens and he talks about, you know, the pros and cons of how good of a job they did. And the American people became used to seeing Donald Trump every Sunday for all those years as a leader. So when he stepped out into the election this year, people already felt like they knew him. Some of them liked them, some of them didn't, but he developed what is known as the know, like, trust factor. And it took 11 years, but he actually is now the Republican Party's presumed candidate. That's a prime example of not only the power of television media, but the power of social media and media in general.
Yes, he certainly used that. Now, my business partner here in Atlanta was actually a candidate on The Apprentice many years ago. I think it was the second or third season. So I've got a very close hand knowledge of how that went down. But being in front of 15 million people every week is certainly going to make you known.
Yes, think about that. And again, and you do that for 11 years. Pretty soon, everybody is going to know you. So think about the power for a local candidate who wants to be seen and heard and known, and of course, who wants to win the election with the tools that we have available today in social media. Think about how huge that audience can be and how you can target those exact voters who will want you to be representing them in your local communities. It's just a really huge advantage to use what I call integrated marketing, which is using the best of traditional media, television, radio, newspapers, magazines, signs, all of the things that you would use in traditional marketing. Then you add the magic of the digital marketing, social media, video, radio, online radio, podcasts. I mean, I have lists of all of the tools that you can use that will grow your online presence, and then it will equate to the vote, where the people will go in and, oh, I know that person. I've seen them everywhere, both offline and online. And then you get the vote. And when you get the vote, if you get enough, guess what? You become the winner of the election.
And unfortunately, a lot of the voters aren't exactly educated on who the candidate is, but when they have to make a choice, they're going to go with the one who they see the most.
Yes, or hear the most.
So we've mentioned Donald Trump and Barack Obama and the local candidates. Is it the local candidates that you specialize in helping?
Yes, the people who really benefit from my services, they would be the people at what I would consider the local or regional levels, because we're trying to work more at the grassroots level. So, for example, we would work with judges or magistrates or in the state and superior courts, solicitor generals or district attorneys, school board, people running for local school boards, county commissioners, city council, tax collectors, commissioners, a sheriff, a clerk of the court, and even people who are running for state senate or the state house and senate and the U.S. state and Congress. Those are the people who are typically who we would think of as your local politicians, because they're working for the local people. When they go into government, they're trying to help the local people at the local community level. And those are the people who I can help the most. But that doesn't exclude the bigger people. But, when we're talking about, the president of the United States, that's a much bigger marketing machine. So I'm really focusing on helping the people who maybe don't have the big budget, or they don't have all of the staff, or they don't have all the volunteers, where they need to get the biggest bang for their election dollars or their campaign dollars. So those are the people that I'm trying to help, because I'm really thinking from a voter's perspective. I'm looking at the candidates and I'm saying, as a voter, what do I need? I need to know who you are. I need to know what your platform is. And I want to know if you're going to be the best representative for what I want and believe in for my local community. And I think that's where my services are really, really needed and helpful, because I'm helping the people, the voters, and then I'm helping obviously the candidates or the politicians. And then of course, we're getting the word out so that people will get elected who can really represent what the voters want and need. So I really think that it's a really valuable service.
So let's talk about your service for a minute, Tamara. What does an online campaign look like, and why doesn't traditional marketing work today?
Well, an online campaign, I call it my pillars of omnipresence. And as you know, omnipresence means seen everywhere.
Right.
And I actually add the word authority in front of that, but just think of the word omnipresence from a local point of view. Right now, of course, and I'll start with, like I said, traditional marketing still works to a certain level. It used to be that going out and networking in public, you could shake how many hands, how many people can you meet at a picnic? How many doors can you personally knock on? Maybe 100, maybe 1,000. But once you start to get into the hundreds and thousands, your personal efforts and your volunteer efforts in the physical real world you're very limited by just the time in the day and human power and energy. But when you go digital, and you're able to pinpoint your exact target voter. And of course, as you know, you can pinpoint using online strategies down to the zip code level. Obviously, you can choose people who are voting independent, Democratic, or Republican, or whatever party, and you can actually pinpoint them. And the pillars would include, and I won't go into great detail about each one, but I'll just let you know. The first part of your pillars would be a website. You need to have a website where people can go to find out more about you and what you stand for. And also so that if they want to donate to your campaign, they can either donate or they can write to you or they can call you or they can send you emails. You want to have a solid email campaign so that you can communicate with the people who would vote for you. And then, of course, Facebook. Facebook has more than 1 billion people on it. And believe it or not, your voters are probably hanging out somewhere on Facebook. And as you know, Facebook has a magnificent demographic compilation of everything you'd probably ever want to know about the people who are on Facebook. You can narrow it down to people within a 1 mile, 5 mile radius, or down to your community, even down to, if you wanted to, the precinct level of voters. So you can actually pinpoint, target your Facebook marketing to the exact people who would be the most obvious people who would vote for you. YouTube, video. Video should be part of every candidate's campaign core strategy. Why? Video, number one, it is visual. It's audio. You can transcribe a video into text, use it for your blogs, use it for content. You can pull sound bites out of it. You can just create this massive amount of content for your campaign using video. And as you know, YouTube is the second largest search engine. It belongs to Google. So you have Google is number one. And I think actually that Facebook and YouTube are kind of vying for that number 2 spot right now. But live video is just huge. Like I said, you can pinpoint, target your market. And then, of course, you can also do what is called retargeting and targeted marketing. And of course, the difference between targeted marketing is that means you're going to target a certain group. Retargeting means that you're going to actually create advertising programs for people who have already visited your website, for example, or visited your Facebook page, and then you will create marketing to literally follow them around online so that you create omnipresence in your digital world. And then there's programmatic advertising, which is actually a fancy word for what is considered real-time bidding on ads. And you can actually reach thousands of people for pennies. And they are highly targeted people. So those are just an example of what a successful campaign would look like in a digital sense. It would be combining your traditional media, offline media, with a strategic digital plan, with the end result being more people voting for you.
That sounds like a lot of work, but if you can repurpose that content, like you were saying, especially from the video, it seems like it would make it a lot easier. Now, what kind of videos does a politician put out to get the attention of their market?
I think that if you think about a politician, what do people want to know about you? Number one, they want to know about you. So you would put out a video where you might say, who you are, what your background is, why you are passionate, why do you want to serve? Because if you are a local politician, you have a pretty big why. It's not about making a lot of money or replacing your job with being a politician. It is about service. For example, somebody on the school board. A good example would be if you ever talk to somebody on a school board, why did you run for school board? And it may be, well, because I think our schools need to quit giving the FCAT, which is a Florida test, and start teaching the basics again. Or I wanted to be sure that I helped create an educational program so that we have more students graduating, being able to read and write. They have very passionate reasons for wanting to be of service. And being a local politician is, I would say it's probably like a higher calling, because your goal is to be of service to make your community and your region, your state, the world a better place to live in. And so that would be some of the videos that you would make. Also, what are your platforms? What are your values? Why should people vote for you? A video gives you an opportunity to stand in front of the camera. And again, the beauty of this today is that we have Facebook Live, we have YouTube, Periscope, Blab, Hangouts. We can have town hall meetings on Blab where 4 people could be talking and then the audience can ask questions, or it could be just like, going up to the microphone in a town hall meeting. So you can have that online platform either in a I can't even say the word, participation model, or where I stand for this. And again, like I said, when you make that video, think about that content value. You made your video, you answered your question. Now you have a video, you have an audio, and you can transcribe that video into content to place it in the FAQ section of your website. You could put it on Facebook. You can just multi-purpose a video in so many different ways. And it's also, remember, it used to be that a politician, in order to have video, what did they have to do? They would have to hire a videographer. They would have to go either into a studio, or they would have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to make these videos. Now you have a smartphone. You could be making these videos yourself. You have online features such as Skype with video. You have, there's another thing called Zoom with video. You have GoToWebinar. We have so many tools available to us today that are either free or very low cost, that creating videos does not have to be a big, expensive thing so that you could actually take that money that you were going to spend making these polished professional videos and use that money for other parts of your campaign because you don't have to spend as much. To tell you the truth, the most important part of your videos obviously is going to be understanding who you are and answering questions in an authentic, transparent way so that when the voter or potential voter sees the video, they will feel as if they're talking directly to you, and it grows the know, like, trust factor, again, which will equate to the voter going into the voter's booth and choosing you because they feel as if they know you.
Yeah, it's certainly amazing the technology that is available now for any politician or business owner or whoever. There's so much for them to be able to do. Now, I know you've concentrated a lot on video being that real premium mode for advertising, but should they still advertise in the local papers and radio and other traditional media?
What I would do if I were advising a local politician, obviously we would sit down and we'd look at all of the options. What do you need online? What do you need offline? What live events are you doing? What online events can you do? What are you actually doing? And then I think everyone should look at how much is it going to cost to put an ad in the local newspaper? How many people are going to actually see that ad and evaluate the value? You know, like if a newspaper ad costs $1,200 and it goes out to the community and you break down how many people actually see it, how many of them would even think about voting for you, because obviously if you're a Republican or a Democrat and half the people, you just eliminated half of the people who might see that ad from that. But I would evaluate every option and see, well, number one, does it fit into my budget? Am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck? Or would it be better to maybe still advertise in the newspaper, but do a smaller ad and put more money into, say, Facebook, where you can pinpoint your potential voter and do a retargeting campaign? So I really think that a lot of the reason why I wanted to do this interview today is to educate the local politician so that they understand that things have changed. We do live in what I call a virtual world and a real world, and we have to meld those two together and take the best of both worlds. Because just because the local newspaper says, yeah, buy a full page ad, it'll only be, whatever that is, it may not be the best way to spend your campaign dollars if you want to win. So you really have to actually look at it and put together a real evaluation of your media, because old traditional media could still work in your area depending on a lot of factors. For example, are the voters who you're trying to attract, are they younger? Are they older? Where do your potential voters hang out? Are they the ones that get up at 4:00 in the morning and read the newspaper? Or are they the ones that get up and go directly to Facebook and see what's going on in the world? So it's really, the answer is kind of like a gray area, but I want to make it clear that in order to win an election today, you definitely need to add digital marketing into the mix, or you will be left behind.
It certainly seems like there are many options, and to have that knowledge that you have, Tamara, is extremely valuable. And I'm sure you have analytics to back up the reach that digital marketing has.
Oh, that is the beauty of digital marketing. Think about a newspaper. And I actually come from a newspaper background. I was a newspaper editor for many years, and I actually interviewed many political candidates as a newspaper editor. But think about a newspaper. They do not have concrete evidence of how many people actually read a paper. All they can give you is, we have X number of subscriptions. We estimate that there are 3.2 members in a household, and then they multiply that out and they come up with a reach. With digital marketing, you can actually measure, okay, this was shown to 1,112 people and 500 people clicked on this. And out of the 500 people, 100 took an action and donated or subscribed to get emails from you. So you can actually measure digital marketing with real numbers and really have a real return on investment. So you're never guessing in a digital marketing world, because you do have analytics. You can actually test your ads. You can test your headlines. You can do so much more testing in real time that digital marketing, you could change your tactic in a few minutes. I don't want to say instantly, but it's basically instant when you compare it to how long it takes for a life cycle of a newspaper, for example. If you have a daily newspaper, you're talking about a 24-hour cycle. A weekly, it would be weekly. A magazine sometimes is 30 to 60 days. So think about, in the digital world, we're able to make split decisions, make a change, test it. Oh, all of a sudden people are now following up and following through, and you're being seen by the people who are the most obvious people who will vote for you. It's really phenomenal what you can do with digital marketing.
Yes, it's definitely an unfair advantage if one politician is using digital marketing and the other isn't. Let's shift gears for a little minute and tell me a little bit about how digital marketing enhances the fundraising efforts of the political campaign too.
Well, think about digital marketing and fundraising. What's the traditional way that most politicians do fundraising? And I hear it on the television all the time. For example, we haven't mentioned Hillary Clinton, so I'll go ahead and throw her into the mix. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump and other politicians, they do like big fundraisers where they have a dinner, or they speak. That's a traditional fundraising where people come and eat and pay money, so much money just to have chicken dinner with Hillary or with Donald or whoever else they're going to be working with. But think about it. If you, for example, have your videos and you have your information on your website or on Facebook, and you can have a simple donate button where it leads directly to a place where they can either donate $1, $20, $100, whatever it is that they choose. So the digital work or digital world makes it so that the average ordinary person can click, push a button, and donate to your campaign. Especially, let's say, for example, if you have some videos and you are passionately talking about why you believe in, I'll go back to my school board example, why you believe that the educational system is broken and what you're going to do to fix it. And that person hears that and they believe in what you say and they want to support your effort to make that change. They're able to go click, donate.
Yes. When you have massive numbers like that, being able to give a little, it makes a big difference, probably more than inviting a few people to a dinner.
Right. It opens up the political realm. It opens it up to the everyday average person, to the, what we call them the people. It opens it up to your average everyday person who is the voter. And because when you have to go pay $1,000, $10,000 a plate, well, who's going to be able to go? Only a select elite group of people. And really, they have proven in studies, little donations, just like what you said, add up to be huge donations, and it actually creates movements. And I think, and I don't want to leave Bernie Sanders out of this. And again, we're talking about people in the national news, but he was an example, or is an example, of someone who got a lot of little donations. And he did very well. He captured the hearts of many, many people, and he put up a good fight against a very wealthy candidate, his opponent.
Well, even if you're donating $1, it's a vested interest into that party. So you're more likely to go out and vote as you have a vested interest now.
Right. And I really think that that's really important, that digital marketing, it actually is a tool, not only for the politician, but it's a great tool for the voter, because they're able to check out and vet a candidate and determine if that candidate is someone they want to support and someone they want to vote for. And I think being informed voters, it's part of democracy. You want to be an informed voter so that you know who you're going to vote for way before you go to the voter's booth or get that absentee ballot in the mail, that now a lot of people can just vote by mail, because you get it in the mail and you can just make your decision and mail it back, as long as it's done in a timely fashion. So that's important.
Now, talking about informed voters, you have a radio show. It's a Vote Radio Show. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, Vote Radio Show is actually a non-partisan radio show, and I created it primarily for two reasons. One is for the voters, so that they can actually listen to Vote Radio Show, listen to local candidates who talk about their beliefs and their platforms. So the voter wins because they get to hear from the candidate themselves, and the interviews are very in-depth. So a candidate, they typically have up to an hour to talk about what they believe in, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and talk about their platform. For the candidate, the Vote Radio Show, what is so cool about it is, we talked about the content. Remember, we talked about how valuable the content is. Well, the Vote Radio Show, the candidate can be videotaped or audio taped, whichever they choose, and they will actually be able to use that content, like I said before, for video, for audio. They can get the transcription if they choose and use it on their website or on their social media. So they win. And I win because I feel like I've done a great community service by giving the voters this high quality information directly from the candidates' mouths, so that the voter can go, well, yeah, I listened to that person, and I think that they would be a good representative for me, so I'm going to vote for them. So I really think that Vote Radio Show, it's an opportunity for the local candidates to be seen, be heard, get found, and then the voters, they get what they need, which is solid information, so that they can make a choice that's going to make them feel like that their vote counted. So many people feel like, well, why should I vote? My vote doesn't count. And so many people are not informed. And it's like on the day of the election, they're trying to read through all of this information. And, oftentimes somebody will go, well, who'd you vote for? Okay, I'll vote for them, if it's a husband or wife or something. But then there are super voters out there they just vote the party line. But every voter should know who the candidates are so they can vote, from their heart. And then every candidate should be able to have a voice so that the voters can hear what they have to say in a non-confrontational way. Mm-hmm. My job is to interview them about what do you believe in? What do you stand for? Who are you? Why should people vote for you? In a non-confrontational way so that they can say who they are and not have somebody doubting every word out of their mouth. My job isn't to judge them. My job is to interview them, let them talk about who they are so that the voter then can listen and go, yeah, I think that's the guy for me or the woman for me. And then they go and vote. And I think it's actually something that will make, like I said, for democracy, democracy is built on people, coming together and of being of service and people choosing who they want to represent them. And I really think Vote Radio Show is able to do that for people.
Well, it's certainly a wonderful resource that you're offering. Now, if somebody wants to be a guest on Vote Radio, how do they get in contact with you?
All they need to do is send a request for information to guestvoteradio@gmail.com.
Excellent. And where can people find out more about you, Tami?
The easiest place to find out more about me is actually to either look me up on LinkedIn under my full name, Tamara Patzer, Tamara Patzer, Patzer, or on Facebook, because I put a lot of brand new, like what's happening now, on those two sites. So that would be the most current up-to-date information. And Vote Radio Show will actually be available on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and YouTube. So people will be able to just go there. And if they like video, they can watch video. And of course, with iTunes, they can actually download the episodes and listen to them at their convenience.
Well, you've definitely shared a wealth of information. I'm definitely going to have to tune in to Vote Radio Show on iTunes to get more information. I can't imagine anybody who's going through a political campaign or thinking about one right now who wouldn't contact you, Tami, to get your knowledge and expertise. So I really want to thank you for your time today and sharing all this vast knowledge that you have with us.
Well, I appreciate it, Neil. I really hope that people do listen to Vote Radio Show.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being our guest on the show. And to our audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.